who want to hear this after the fact. Okay, proceed.
Sure. Okay. So, welcome to Gymnazo. You may or may not have ever walked into our space before, but we have a 13,000 square foot facility off the airport. Oh, hey, Tim. Off Aero Vista. And this place is normally pumping full of human beings, high energy, good volume, fun people. And I have just been relishing it's not a fake backdrop, I promise you that. Here I am, alone on a Monday night, and it is just the new normal. But I wanted to share with you guys a couple things from sort of tell a story, journey with me, if you will, back into the bleak days of March. But I actually want to go further back than that because it's more interesting. So in my world in fitness, a 10% profit margin is a good business. So just to give you that perspective, also in the fitness business, if you can break 7 figures, you're in the top 2% for a single location in the world. And 2019, we broke 7 figures in one location. It's small little San Luis Obispo. And so we were like, wow, something's going right for us. What's happening? What's the secret? What's the secret sauce? And so if you don't know me, I run the business side of Gymnazo. I'm actually not a coach. People ask me for nutrition advice all the time. They ask me for workouts to recommend. And quite honestly, my claim to fame is I'm just a client of our services. That's part of my charm on the team, is I advocate for the client experience. But so that being said, we really had like this great moment 2019 saying, okay, we want to do something online. Thank God for that, right? Let's start thinking about how do we grow out of San Luis Obispo. And that's not an old conversation. That's a classic conversation for anybody operating out of brick and mortar space. Serving clients. And we had a consultant at the time tell my husband and I, Michael, who's really the blood, sweat, and tears face entrepreneur. He grew this sucker to 6 figures. I took it to 7 with him. So I have to give him credit for that. But we met with this consultant and he said, if you guys plan on staying married, and then he paused. We're like, we'd like to. We would really like to stay married. That's a high priority for us. And so he said, then you're going to need to be careful not building new brick and mortars, a lot of them, because that was my vision, was to have 4 or 5 different businesses in different places. Because he said there's basically 2 skill sets. And so I'll just share this with you. One is there's an entrepreneurial skill set, somebody that literally isn't afraid to walk in to know people at a certain time and then just rallies for the next thing and knows how to create something out of scratch. And it's a very unique skill set. And then there's a managerial skill set, somebody that can come in and has an amazing ability to take what is and make better. And so he said, if you guys have that entrepreneurial fire, that strains relationships big time. And if you're talking about doing that again and again and again, and you've got little kids, which now we have 2 kids under 3, it's like, what's your option? So that we took that really to heart, because we do not suffer from we're in tune with the fact we're still humans and we'll still drive each other nuts. We're absolutely yin and yang to each other, love each other, but that was a priority. Let's stay married through this. So anyway, so we decided to go online. And so Michael, my husband's always wanted to train trainers. And so we were going, why are we so successful? Honestly, we'd love to take all the credit for stuff, but what is happening here? What do we need to pay attention to? What's the secret sauce? And so for us, the secret sauce is there's a huge gap between the medical industry and the fitness industry, where you're out of physical therapy, but you are by no means in a place whether it's confidence in your mind or physical capabilities to resume the things that you love to do. And most trainers are trained to assume that you're going to walk in the door with no aches and pains and they can take you to greatness. But that's not a safe assumption anymore. And our sweet spot is honestly our favorite demographic are people over 50 walking in here with aches and pains who want to feel young again. That's entirely who we built a business model around serving. And we're so passionate about that group. So we're going, that's the thing. We take performance, traditional kind of sexy fitness and fun, And we go ahead and we make it therapeutically sound and have restoration involved in it. So we're like, let's go train trainers. Like that'll help us create our goal, which is to reach more people through our methodology. It doesn't have to be our brand slapped on the face of every gym that does it. Why don't we just train trainers? So we built an online course and we launched that sucker, and which I've already shared the meager profit margins that are like celebratory in my industry. So we took that rainy day fund and we poured that in. We're like, let's go big. We poured it into this course, into marketing it, branding it, getting it right, and bringing it to market. And we brought that sucker to market February 4th. And one glorious month later, our cash cow is at significant risk because all of a sudden overnight, we're looking at, over 80 grand a month disappearing in revenue. And it's scary. It's scary. And you got little babies. You're both in on this. Like I had a whole different career before joining Gymnazo, and here we are. And it's this moment. And I had like that dark moment that I think most of us experienced around COVID at some point, where you just sit there and you just almost feel like it's just heavy and it's sad and you're almost angry. Like, how could this be happening? I'm so blindsided by this. What is going on? And then somebody I really appreciate in my life said, this is when leaders step up, is when it gets hard, not when it gets easy. Like, where is the silver lining? How can this be for you? What are you not seeing in this that you're going to look back and say, I'm so thankful in hindsight that this happened? And I'm like, give me a day. So it took about 24 hours. And then I just came back. It came back to life. And anybody that knows me, and several of you do here, I have this inner Viking that should have some alter ego name to it, because she came roaring into my life. And I just took it and I was like, this is it. Like, I was born for this. And I really believed it. It's like, let's take this and let's build something freaking awesome. So what can I do in fitness? And we've got buddies over at Mindbody, and good enough buddies to kind of whisper statistics to us on what was really going on in the industry. And they were telling us like 95% of their revenue disappeared, like within a week or two. Oh, sorry, excuse me. 75% of their revenue had tanked, but 95% of their client base had their doors closed on them, like not necessarily voluntarily. So that's staggering for us. They're a tech company, but in my industry, they're giants because they've got access to, 60 plus thousand boutiques, studios, and salons that they service. So when I heard that number, and don't quote me on it if someone in Mindbody is like horrified by it, but there's no real surprise. And they met with a lot of backlash in the community for laying 700 people off. But when you have that number of of revenue dropping off the planet, I feel like there might be some gratitude left over for the people they kept. So I just throw that out there because I do love Mindbody and I love the people over there. But anyways, it was just this moment, and we're like, okay, we're not the worst industry. Everyone's feeling bad for me. You're in fitness. It was like sexy to be an entrepreneur a month ago, back in February. It's the worst thing you could be right now is to be an entrepreneur solving all these problems. My team's looking at me like, are you going to do what every other fitness gym did in town and beyond, like way beyond, and close your doors, place all your members on hold, and lay everyone off? Like, no joke, that's like how 90% of my industry responded. And it just felt like I don't want to throw anyone under the bus locally, because I genuinely believe that their hearts were like, hey, it'll be 2 weeks. That's it. We'll bounce back. No one's going to fault them for 2 weeks. But if anyone had known, so we're looking at month 3, that you're going to dry up your lifeblood to your business proactively, that's like a death wish. Not that I'm passionate about it or anything, but I literally was starting to get stressed out for the industry. And I was like, no, like, we have to find a way to meet these people in their homes. Because here's the thing, like, they told me, like, here's my money. like, you're partnering with me. I pick you. You are the person and the company and the brand that I trust to get me to where I want to go, to help me reach my needs, to help me sleep better, eat better, move better. Like, you're it. And I'm like, what am I going to abandon them? No, we just have to figure out what they need in their homes and envision meeting them in that place. And so we came up with a 3-phased approach. I even turned it into a PDF for the fitness industry and launched that sucker for free and got like 1,000 people downloaded it, which is great. Just to try to give some, like, here's my sweet spot is, like, I'm a commander in my communication style, and I just went for it and I was having a blast. But anyways, so it was a horrible time to have invested in a brand new service, and a horrible time to have launched it, and a horrible time for COVID to hit, but that's the case. We already chatted a little bit earlier about how 2009 wasn't a particularly great time to graduate college. I remember thinking to myself, man, all I need in life is a good recession or a good depression that I can surge out of and, like, dominate.
Here it is.
Writing still on the wall about whether we've achieved that or whether it's a future depression down the way. But I'm like, don't miss this chance. Like, what can you do now? So anyway, so we pivoted online, and our whole plan was to over deliver on value, so that it would be a no-brainer. I knew like, people get decision fatigue, and when everything's melting around you, we serve entrepreneurs, we serve C-level executives, like, we serve managers, we serve, like, higher end professionals. That's who we serve. They are freaking out right now. I don't need to be one more decision for them. I need to be the easiest decision for them, in terms of, don't worry about Gymnazo. Gymnazo is going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. And so my obsession became, I don't want anyone to place their membership on hold at full market value. And that's a bold thing to say when you've got a variety of people paying anywhere between $99 and $600 a month.
Wow.
How am I serving my $600 a month clients in a way that they're excited about 2-3 months down the road? That was the problem to solve. But but here's the other thing, like, we can sit there and, if you're in marketing at all, the numbers you want to talk about are the ones that paint you in the best light. But there are numbers, like, even if we can hold on to membership, I'm going to be down 20 grand a month out the gate. Like, for sure, because the rest of that is in-person services, one-off, a la carte services, retail. Mm-hmm. So I'm already crawling in. And if you ran the math on 10 to 12% profit, that's losing money. So I'm not here to make money off of COVID. I'm here to save my team and not lay anyone off, and not throw my landlords in a rough spot, because they still have bills to pay too. So anyways, that became, like, the game. And I use that word because I don't know how when I can get playful with something that's hard, it gets fun for me. If otherwise it's too heavy. So it became this game. Can we do it? And how do we just rethink the box?
And you're probably working harder than you were before, right?
Yeah, actually, this was great. So my husband and I often arm wrestle over, like, who goes home with the kids and who stays late at work. And I won every arm wrestle because I had this skill set that was the most important at that time, because all the other coaches could serve our clients and he could be home with the babies. But then I could come here and market and figure it out and do all these other things. So that was kind of fun for me. But anyways, so we put in this 3-phase plan. The first thing that we did was we pivoted online in 3 days over a weekend. The weekend before we went into shelter in place, we had an email. I knew there was, like, this sweet spot. Like, if you can get an email into your client's inbox on Sunday before every business owner in town realizes that COVID's going to come for you, like, as a business, like, maybe not individually, that we know of, then you will allow people to breathe a sigh of relief versus add stress to their life. And so we had that in there. We spent the whole weekend shooting videos. We had three services that we were going to offer right out the gate. One was on-demand training, so the type of training Jane Fonda made super famous, although now it's in a much more cool, like, on your phone app. And that is you can stream pre-recorded workouts and follow along at your leisure. And so we shot all those videos that weekend, which was crazy. And I love my team for working hard and answering the call, and I don't take that for granted at all. Then we had a Facebook group, because the biggest thing we knew our members loved about us and wanted to keep was this community. And I had, thankfully, because I'm in all these female entrepreneur Facebook groups and marketing guru Facebook groups, I'm like, these are actually good. Like, connection can be made. There's so many ways to engage with people. And we basically said, let's become like a mini Netflix for health and wellness profession, or health for in health and wellness. So we have a cooking show once a week with 2 of our coaches. I had a morning show with Michael and I in our pajamas, most of the time with me makeup free, which is really entertaining for a lot of reasons, with children crawling all over us in our kitchen, because my thought was, I've got a lot of older people that are scared right now, and a lot of them living alone. Like, I don't want them to be glued to a TV screen right now. I don't want them to feel isolated from the grandbabies. Like, they're really sad. This is sad. So it's like, okay, let's bring them my kids. Now they're seeing little humans. I mean, that's a gift in itself, because to be in lockdown with children is a blessing, because those little babies, they don't know any different, and they're just happy. So like, let's bring them in. So we've got this total, like, welcome to the Hughes kitchen. And here we are, and we've got banter, because my husband and I are just hilarious, funny and random together. And so we just worked it, and we're like, well, this is so off brand. This is so unprofessional in all senses pre-COVID, but it worked. And it's been fun. Then we've been able to, as it goes on, and now we're like month 3 of like our daily morning show. Like, now we're like interviewing past coaches, telling stories of how we got started, and using it as a platform to reconnect with a lot of our members. And that's been really, really powerful.
Is that just Facebook Live?
That's just Facebook Live, but it's in a private group. And the only way you're in the private group is if you're a paid and active member. So it all fits in the general strategy, right?
That's a good delivery system, though, for you.
It's great. And we had people reactivating Facebook, like joining on Facebook just to be a part of it, because they're like, we hear there's a cooking show, or we hear that, you know. And then my coaches, so from an entrepreneur standpoint, we hold a pretty tight leash around what new innovation in terms of products and services that our coaches create. Like, it needs to fit in the brand. We sort of had a roadmap typically we release. These guys and girls are innovating and creating stuff in their garages. And it's amazing. Like, we have entire sessions dedicated to a jump rope that you can throw in a pattern to unlock your T-spine and get your run gait back. Like, how crazy does that sound, right? Mm-hmm. That's a thing now. If you're a runner, like, you should be throwing a jump rope in the cadence that we're throwing jump ropes. It's nuts. But who would have thought, you know? And they're coming up with this stuff. They're not necessarily asking for permission, which historically might have bothered me. But this is sort of this crazy, you know what? There's never been a more forgiving time with clients to test things than right now, because we're so grateful you showed up. So anyways, long story short, we saved 90% of our memberships at full price, which was great. And but we remained blissfully insecure about the value, because here's the thing, like, I know the $99 a month are like, this is the best thing I've ever had, but I also know I'm benefiting on relational equity, basically, from people who've been with me for a long time, who have a higher dollar amount every month that they have an auto pay that runs. And so we said, okay, what do we need to do for those people? We survey everybody. Voice of the customer is king. What do they need? What do they want? Everyone starts missing equipment week 2. It's like a total scramble for Amazon. And my husband looks at me and goes, we are standing in an Amazon fulfillment house right now. If we're smart enough to realize it, we can literally deliver to all of our clients any piece of equipment that they want. They can rent it, they can buy it, and we'll figure it out when this whole thing comes back. And that's what we did. But we said, no, hold on. We now need to draw a line in the sand and identify VIPs. So all the VIPs is anyone spending over $200 a month, like, now they get that for free. Free as in, like, please don't stop paying us. We promise it's worth it. And so we over-deliver on that. Then we had specialized programming for specific equipment that they had. So now they had the on-demand workouts plus that, plus the Facebook Lives. But the real gold is virtual training. And that is the future of fitness. Everybody in fitness has said that the COVID-19 fast-tracked our eventual where we were going to
Shift.
go
Yeah.
online. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. If we're going to shift anyways, we're going to shift it online. Like we know that, but this accelerated it. They're saying about a decade. And so no one's ready for this. Everybody inherently thinks on the training side, online's worse. But what's crazy is everybody doing online training demands higher prices than we're getting fulfilling in person. So the disconnect between value is so crazy. 75% of Americans who work out from home. So while brick and mortar is sitting here clawing our way into like that 25% world, and people are trying to find their fitness tribes, we're ignoring 75% of people working out. And so that's just like a huge opportunity for us. And so we said, okay, let's go start selling new people. Let's do virtual training. And that's what I'm trying to get to is virtual training, which means we're having a Zoom call, literally. Let's all work out together. And a coach is going to sit there and watch you on a 70-inch screen and is going to critique your form as you're doing the workout. And that sounds just absolutely crazy, but our clients are so happy because the number one thing that was missing once you solve for equipment was accountability. And how does anybody know if you're doing your workouts if you've got an on-demand video series? That's the weakness, right?
Yeah, no, I would do a 45-minute workout would be like 30 minutes because I would get bored, I'd get tired, and I would just turn it off.
Of course. So now we have to put, and here was the best thing ever, was that I told you we have that coach certification course program that we built, right? Like we don't hire anybody unless they've taken it anyways. So we have to know if it works, because if we can't hire you from that, it's a horrible course. But then you throw them into to a screen, and if they don't have a transferable skill set that goes into a virtual realm, we also created a horrible course. We also added a whole new module, by the way, when all of this was hitting the fan for the course for people who have taken it to try to migrate into virtual in a way that they could understand, because there was so much confusion around technology in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
It's a huge, it's scary. I mean, it's funny talking to you guys because like tech, I'm going to just generalize that you guys get it. And it's fun for you, and it's almost like an obsession or just an interest. It's super scary for a lot of health and fitness professionals. It just feels really like, oh no, it's going to be tedious, or oh no, it's too technical.
It's an extra layer of complexity to their already, if you're a teacher already getting ready for a class, now you have to worry about all of this.
Exactly. So anyway, so now the vision is, I'm just trying to look at my notes and make sure I don't short you guys on the stuff, although I know we'll move into Q&A, which will be great. But we started getting on podcasts everywhere, like in Australia, the UK, like wherever. People are like, what? You've saved 90% of your memberships? You guys know I was still losing money. But the stat that was important was the 90% of your members salvaged, right, at full price. And so that was the number where we said, like, let's go and share what we're doing to help people, because they couldn't figure out virtual training. And I'm like, people love it. It's so convenient. They can literally cruise into their living room and get that experience. Does it replace in person for a lot of people? Not necessarily, but we surveyed our active members, and 90% of them said they would want to continue in some capacity in a virtual setting. And so we're thinking about stay-at-home moms. Like we have a lot of stay-at-home moms who have been their worlds are upside down. I mean, I'm so thankful my kids aren't school age. It's nuts.
What about business travelers? I mean, it would be great for me to have my gym with me when I travel.
For sure. And that's where I really believe people hire coaches, not programs. And that's the competitive advantage, is like, you've got to be able to transfer your knowledge and community and expertise through a screen, so you can meet people when they're on their vacation, when their kids are going nuts and they just couldn't get there, but they really want to be part of it, and they can turn on TV in the next room and go into their garage and get a workout in. Like, that's the real situation. And so and also people who at the end of the day wanted to get a workout in, but the day got away from them, and it's 7 o'clock and they haven't had dinner and they're tired, but they want to work out. Like, can they jump in? And so it's really brought a lot of fluidity to our training. And now we have people joining us from Nebraska, from New York, from all over the place.
Wow.
We've even gotten entirely new clients simply for virtual training in Paso. Now Paso is an actual client base for us. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say, when someone leaves the area, they can actually stay connected to the gym.
Yeah. That was our low-hanging fruit. All the win backs that were like, when are you going to open a spot in Austin, Texas? It's like, well, geez, we want to stay married, so we're not going to open a spot in Austin, Texas. But, you know, join us for virtual training. And now what's cool is we're now working on certifying coaches for our educational program virtually. And now it's perfect because here's the happiest thing coming out of this is now we're getting paid to certify people who we can demo their skills on paying clients. And we're getting paid on both sides of the experience, and that people are happy because our clients know that they're molding and giving a stamp of approval on coaches that are going to carry the banner into their communities. And these coaches are getting validation because that's what they've been needing the most, is that the confidence that they can do it. So
it's cool too when you can get a coach from anywhere, right? From outside the area.
Yeah, it opens up so much potential. I know there's a lot of concern. And by the way, we maintained our entire staff through this, which has just been, I'm so thankful for. And I only had I'll say this. I only had one person ask me if they could go on unemployment, and it was basically me saying, great, and you'll be going somewhere else afterward because you won't be coming back on.
Well, it's a great time to be on unemployment because of the little federal bonus that everybo's been getting. So
for sure,
I can totally get that. If you're going to make a transition, now's the time.
But if you're on my team, that's never the option. That's just how it is.
That's good.
If that's your best option, then we're probably not stoking you up so much that you don't want to just die on the hill with us. And that's how it's been. But I'm really, really proud of the team, and it's been pretty incredible. So as we reimagine, just to wrap this up here, as we reimagine opening next week, what is the situation? I'm going to see if I can just I don't know if you can see this. I'm so hooked up over here. Can you see those little squares? Does that bring anybody
Yes.
off the playground?
Yes, we can see it. Yep.
Okay, so we have taped out 8-foot by 8-foot squares. That is your workout space now. You will get your own equipment for the workout, and it will be, when you get there, in the green square next to it. That will be clean, having been sanitized, obviously. And then when you've used it, abused it, sweat all over it, it's going in the red box, and nobody's allowed to use it again until it's been sterilized to the green.
Did you come up with that, or did you get an idea from someone else?
We got an idea from someone else.
Okay.
In fact, we've been so fortunate to be part of these Facebook groups for business owners, because people that are already open in various parts of the world are sharing with us what's been surprising, what they've learned, what's going on.
Smart. Very smart.
Decorate our squares. Yes, Jeff, you can decorate your square. With cheetah prints, no doubt.
People are going to want to come back to their square, I'm sure. You're going to have a square reserved for me.
It's totally going to be that way. People will be like, well, I'm really uncomfortable because that's my normal spot.
And I want the person out of here.
But hold on, I got to tell you guys, the best thing coming out of COVID-19, honestly, is the fact that we are going to hybrid train from the minute we open for the foreseeable future, which means I've got one coach coaching from a 70-foot, I'm looking at my screen here, 70-inch TV screen, 8 people who, have now, they're about what? I don't know. I can't do the math in my head, but it's like they're going to be big enough to see. And now I'm coaching them and all these people around me.
Life-size heads.
Yeah, in real time.
Wow.
And it's going to be powerful. And so I'm sitting here talking about it because it's in my head and I can see it and I can feel it, and it's going to be powerful. We still have yet to execute on that piece. But what's amazing about it is, if we have to go back into shelter in place, or if my target demographic, who we love, if they just don't feel ready to come back in, they aren't penalized for that. They're still now part of that experience. And it's up to them to live by their conscience and what they feel is right. And that's been great, because I've never been put in more moral dilemmas as an entrepreneur in my life than having to decide what's safe for a bunch of people. So I'm like, please do what's right for you. No judgment. You're not going to put me out of business, but let's make it flexible, give you flexibility in that. So that's been really cool to envision.
Very cool. Well, that's an awesome story. And we can chat a little bit more, but I do want to open it up for Q&A because I want to give people the opportunity to ask Paden questions. And I'm going to, sorry, you can unmute yourselves. Is there a unmute all? 1 second. Participants. I still am figuring this tool out. Unmute yourself. That's what I've heard people doing these calls do. So if you've got a question for Paden, please unmute yourself or raise your hand like Stuart just did.
So Paden, what technological issues did you and Michael figure out that no one else has to move from physical to virtual? So what was that like? Because you had started your online certification, but what did you have to do to make it presentable to your clients?
We sacrificed all standards of professionalism is the truth. I mean, it's imperfect action, meeting people where they need you, and they will forgive a multitude of sins. And we freaking worked that. I mean, we came with good hearts. Like, what rallied us was like somebody who's sad, fighting anxiety and depression in their living room, and they live alone. Like, we're showing up for that person. It doesn't matter if we're not totally right. It doesn't matter if we have to email you the link 16 times for you to find it. It doesn't matter if we have to put 2 tech support people at 5:45 emailing people like crazy just so that people show up and get a good experience. So we trialed and erred, but we showed up to serve, and I know that that was appreciated, but I also know we were forgiven a lot of blunders as a result.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Karen, did you have a question? You got to unmute yourself, though.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of combined with what was previously said, but I want to commend you on your efforts, Paden. It's inspiring. I wear a couple of hats here in town. I'm an administrator at Loras College, so I get the online learning component and how things are different virtually, but I'm also a certified triathlon coach with USA Cycling and Triathlon. My husband and I both came here from Ohio with that background. And I wanted to know also, how your coaching staff and clients feel. Are they feeling that they're even more connected together in the company and also with their clients? Have you noticed that shift? I know I felt that when I'm coaching virtually. There's just a completely different component to that.
Yeah, I feel like it's a mixed bag, if I'm being honest. I think we've all ridden individual roller coasters of emotions through the last 3 months in our own way. And for example, a lot of our coaches were like, we rallied like we're going to war for like 2 weeks, and it was like, kill or be killed. We have to do this. Burn the ships. The whole analogy is like, we're just doing it. You cannot not make this work. And that was energizing and exhausting all at once. And then it was this glorious time where my team was working hard. They showed up and they worked, but they were able to do it from their home, and that was fun. They could kind of roll in, and then people were meeting their dogs, and they were seeing clients' dogs. They were giving little like tours of their home, and it was this cool connection to be in. It's a vulnerable thing, actually, to bring somebody into your living room and train with your background behind you. And so that brought some cool connection. Obviously, Facebook with Paden and Michael, I've heard more feedback from people saying, Paden, you're so behind the scenes. I never really knew you, but now I know you. Now you're my best friend in the morning at 7 a.m. in your pajamas. And so that's been kind of fun to see. But we've also had people who felt a lot of shame in not showing up and doing the workouts, and trying to create a place of non-judgment for people that are going through some anxiety and depression, and sometimes not showing up when they wish they would creates more of that experience. And so because we're not in person, it's harder to read that. So I have 2 member service professionals, and their job is to check in and call and see how we can support and improve, and that's felt good, and they've definitely been picking up more of that.
That's fantastic. Great. Thank you.
Of course. I might say this now, my entire team is like, get us back in person. We miss our people. We had no idea. We like survived so much on the connection piece, and we were missing our people and just the connections around it. So much so that they were swearing up and down 2-3 weeks ago, like, I'm not wearing a mask to coach. That sounds like hell. And it became this whole, yes, but like in the service of others, or like to create a less intimidating environment for who knows how long. Like, are we willing to do it? And overnight it was like, yes, please bring the people back. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll mask up. We'll be in full suits, whatever we have to do. So that's changed too.
Anyone else have a question for Paden? I
can keep talking because.
Well, Paden, what do you think are going to be the challenges for you that you're going to face in the next 6 months that you're kind of already getting prepared to deal with? Just the fact that this transition back to a hybrid model, or?
I think, well, we have to create belief. We have to create an excellent enough product where my clients and my team believe in it as being more valuable. Like, I see the business model. Like, honestly, you train virtual, it's 90% like profit, straight up. It's a complete inverse of the situation we're in. So it is absolutely something I am pushing, but they have to believe in it, and the clients have to validate it. So we have we have a lot to prove in that category. I see it as being really good, but it has to still be executed for sure. And then I have to be careful of indigestion as a business. So they say, like, a business doesn't die from starvation, it dies from indigestion, right? Too many ideas. And I've got a lot of ideas.
The internet can do that to you. You got to be careful.
I know, it's this whole other thing. Plus the real conundrum, which is, how do you build trust with total strangers online? And that is a new one for us, because we have been able to sell from a place of higher trust because we're a brick and mortar space in a small town. And we've benefited from that, and we no longer have that online. It's a whole different game.
So there's going to be a lot of re-education and learning that you're going to be going through. Sounds like.
And I'm going to have to hand off some control around marketing, because I'm going to.
All right, Jeff, you got to unmute yourself. You had a question.
That's interesting about the virtual customers, the other clients, because, I work out at Gymnazo at least 4 days a week, and been doing lots of online classes. I haven't had any people that I'm aware of who are virtual in my classes yet. And so that'll be really interesting.
Oh yeah, you came from different parts of the world?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it would be cool, because part of what we do is we talk while we're warming up and stuff, and talk about how our weekend was or what's going on. And we over time at Gymnazo, you really get to know people really well. You become good friends with a lot of the people you work out with, even to a greater degree than at a regular gym, where you kind of do your own thing, because you're forced to kind of interact with all these people in these classes. So are some of these virtual people starting to mix in with the groups now?
Jeff, I'd have to ask Michael. I know a lot of them are one-on-one right now because they're in pain, and Michael's and that's been a huge surprise. Michael, who uses soft tissue in his hands to like work with people, get him out of pain and then working out. He's like, he's so intimidated. Like, how am I going to use just a screen? How am I going to tell somebody exactly where to push and what pressure to release? And he's getting huge success online. So now he's like, well, shoot. So now they still, I think some of them, I'll have to chat with him, but I'm sure you could ask him too. But a lot of them are still in that context merging in. We're getting actual doctors referring friends to us who live in different states for that. So that's been cool. But I think they're mostly one-on-one right now.
I think the local clients would be really excited to have some people from out of the area.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it's, and especially what I think is going to be really, really interesting is after next week, when Gymnazo opens back up, and some of us will be working out back in the facility, and some will be online, and some will be both. What that'll be like.
Yeah, I agree.
What would it be like to work out online with other people who are there in person? And will that be as good? Will that be better? Will that not be, I think the whole thing is fascinating.
Well, I'll tell you one theory that I have, and I hope it's not offensive, but I think I'm spot on, is the last week before everyone went virtual, it was straight on Republicans working out in person and Democrats were in their homes. I mean, I could have literally bet money on who voted what based on who was still showing up. And so it'll be fascinating to see what happens as people kind of cruise back in and what their comfortability is too. So.
Well, and it's been fascinating to try to evaluate that from my own perspective, because when I work out online, I wear a monitor, this little monitor thing around my chest when I work out. My monitoring numbers, I've actually been getting a higher workout number at home than I was at the gym, by a little bit, not a lot. But now I'm wondering, like, when I work out at home, I get an extra half hour sleep in the morning.
Yeah, which is
and so, but I really miss working out in the gym. So I look forward to, like, okay, when I go back, what's it going to be like? Am I going to go, oh, this is great, this is where I want to stay? Will I go back and forth? Will I gravitate back to online? You know, I think the whole thing, for all that we've been working for in soft tech for all these decades, has been, now we're getting to put some of this stuff into play, you know, in ways that we never imagined. Like, it's being really, you know, accelerated.
Yeah, it really is. But see, my guess is, Jeff, the value is going to be the morning that you, which would probably actually never happen for you, sleep in a little bit, and or you just feel like you need that extra half hour sleep, and the peace of mind you can have that you could just show up. You're already booked for the session. You can make the choice, game time choice. Do you come in person or do you stay online? And that adds some level of value. So
remember, when we started soft tech, in the beginning, you know, the internet had just started. Nobody knew what we were going to do with this whole thing. And part of our job was to help people figure out what to do with this thing.
That's so cool.
And so to be here now with all of this happening, and look at what we're doing with video conferencing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to me, one of the biggest untold stories of COVID is how well this platform has performed.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been a few hiccups, but not many.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, I think my iPhone messes up more than this thing has.
I heard they went from 2 million users to over 300 million in like weeks.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is now, but that's staggering.
Yeah, just the hats off to the engineering of that platform.
Yeah.
And to cloud computing. I mean,
well, I was going to say, Paden, that I think the game changer for me will be this activity monitor that has your heart rate all the time and gives you all sorts of new biofeedback that you never had before, that then a coach can look at that closely. And, you know, their whole thing is based on strain level, right? They want you to be going hard enough on your workout. And it's kind of this whole new concept that I didn't even know about, but, you know, did you really have a good workout? You think you did, but your heart rate reveals whether or not you did. And, you know,
there's my suggestion. You know, like, that was one of the first things I said is, we need to connect our monitors at the distance back, so the coach isn't just seeing our picture, they're seeing our monitor readouts.
Plus, on the screen, you can have their heart rate right next to their mugshot.
Well, when you work out in Gymnazo, you have that. Your name is up on the wall.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And all your numbers and stuff are up there on the wall.
So you guys are already pretty advanced.
So the coach will be going, yeah, you can push that a little harder, Jeff. You're slacking, man. Get going.
Only because they know you thrive on that kind of feedback, but yes.
Right. But they don't say that to everybody. They say it to me because that's what I want.
Yeah.
Or they see your resting heart and they're like, you know, you might want to take it easy today because you know that you're already coming in fatigued.
They've never said that to me.
Here's an interesting technology piece. If you're on a pacemaker, which several of our clients are, it massively messes up with the heart rate monitoring capabilities, and it causes all sorts of problems. So we've just been trying to figure a lot of stuff out. What also, if you're decent, if you have, I don't know what the percentage is, but if you're more obese, you may not even get a strong read on your heart based on where they're connecting. And so it's very it's very interesting to see just that technology and who buys into it. It's personality, just straight up.
Well, this is on your wrist, and this is taking my heart rate right here. But I guess you still have fat wrists.
Ours is around the chest to get a better read. Typically, it's a little less problematic, but it also has its own problems.
All right. Well, this has been really great. Any more questions? I don't want to keep Paden because she's got to get on with her family and dinner and everything else she does. But I think I forget to mention this at the end. The speakers are so generous with their time. What do you want to share with everyone? Like, this is your little 10-second pitch of anything you want to share with the rest of us that wasn't, that you're nice enough not to work into your talk.
I worked so much into this talk. If you're not sold, just kidding. No, what I would say is that if you're looking at creating a home gym experience, or you're looking and finding a way to get fitness to work for you, we have a lot more ability to meet you in that place and add value in a lot of different frameworks. And if you're somebody that's suffering from some kind of ache or pain, or want to get back to feeling a certain way, or engaging in different social things like golf or tennis, whatever, like sport that you have in mind, or a level of fitness, we can help you get there and partner with you. And now, thanks to COVID, in so many different ways. So that is the silver lining. It's really pushed us to innovate out in an uncomfortable place.
Cool. Well, congratulations.
But we ask our clients to do. This is the hypocrisy. It's like we ask our clients to get uncomfortable for us to get to the next level. That is literally fitness. So like, here we are actually having to do it for our business. And that was really a cool transformation for us.
Well, and that's mirrored in our culture, and what's happening with our country is we're all sort of being thrown in some uncomfortable things that we have to face that we've never had to face for a long time.
Fair enough.
Or ever. All right, you guys. Well, hopefully, I guess we may be meeting in person next meeting. I am not going to hold my breath, but July 13th, if so, we'll be back at TechBrew. Otherwise, I have a couple of potential really awesome speakers from out of the area that I'm waiting to contact once I find out where we're going to be at. Like some real big names that I'm thinking will take us up on this call. I mean, Paden was great. We need more local people in these stories too. But this is a unique opportunity that we have with COVID to bring in some folks from outside the area that we otherwise wouldn't be able to get. So if you guys need anything else, drop me a note. I saw that Sean actually put his resume up on the chat. So he's a go-getter. I can already tell you that he's willing to do that. But you guys have a great week and be safe. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again, Paden.
Thank you. Thank you.